Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Dojo Live. I am Tulio Sergusa, and I am joined by my co-host today. I have Carlos with me and Marielle. Welcome to the show, guys. We are streaming live on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. So welcome and thank you for joining us. Today we have Kevin Chandra, who's going to talk to us about something that I was worried we would get no audience because we're talking about stress at work. And I mean, who has stress at work? Nobody, right? So Kevin, welcome to the show. Please introduce yourself. Tell us who you are for the audience benefit. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for inviting me for this show. It's a pleasure for me to be a part of here. And so, as you know, myself, Kevin, I graduated from a university in Stuttgart. I did masters in vehicle dynamics, and then right now I'm working as a research and development engineer, working for different BMW projects at Munich. So yeah. What I do exactly is, as a vehicle safety expert, we do different safety tasks and also some security tasks to prevent the threats that could happen. Yeah. So in short, that's it.
Great, Kevin. Thanks for introducing yourself. Welcome. We always have a multinational cast. Thanks for joining us from Germany. It's like 2 in the morning, I think. There. No, not 2. It's late in the evening. I think it's 10 p.m. Right?
Here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. All right. I got the time zone right. Tell us a little bit about your business. You mentioned a little bit. You guys do some security. Is that what your company does? Cybersecurity. Did I get that right?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You know, there are a lot of malfunctions and hacking happening nowadays. So hackers are very smart and they hack your car very easily. So we as engineers or scientists, we define preventive measures to just avoid such kind of manipulations or attacks by the hackers. So we do threat analysis and risk assessment, and from this assessment, we could see what are the vehicle components we have. Those are called assets for us, and how we could prevent these assets from the attackers. So that's the thing we do. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And in case I missed it, I think you work for BMW in Stuttgart. Did I get that right?
I work for BMW at Munich, and there are a lot of companies working for BMW. For example, I don't know if you've heard about Continental's Electrobit. So I'm a part of that company as well, and working for the BMW projects.
Great. Thank you for the introduction. Carlos, what's the topic of conversation today? Please introduce the show and let's kick off the conversation.
Absolutely, Tulio. Thank you so much. Kevin, I understand that we're going to be speaking about stress at work. Well, that's the name of today's conversation. Stress at work. Take the Rubik's Cube. So first of all I would like to ask you, why did you choose this particular topic, and what does the Rubik Cube have to do with it?
All right. You know, of course, a lot of people are suffering from stress nowadays. The research says about 110 million people die every year as a direct result of stress, which is around 7 people for every 2 seconds, you know, and that's way more, and it's getting increasing. And moreover, Americans are among the most stressed out population in the world. So that's the fact, you know, and that's the reason I just chose this topic. And of course, the Rubik's Cube helps in solving it. Let's say, like, if you're away from your smartphones, you are almost away from the stress, I would say. So if not smartphone, then you should look for some device that could distract you mentally, and that's Rubik's Cube.
Okay. Cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I
have a question. We might suffer from stress, like in a lot of aspects of our life. How do you identify someone is going through stress at work? Like maybe you might see someone who's maybe very quiet or not interacting with people around, but how do you know this comes from actual work? Like, is there a way that you identify that?
Yeah, yes. I did it personally because I'm a kind of guy. I used to. The thing is, if you have huge amount of work, then you need to concentrate on all the tasks. You need to balance your family as well as your work. In most of the cases. The thing is, the stress, we are creating it and we are responsible for that, obviously. So life is not just sitting in front of the laptop or computer or using our mobile phones always. So we are just failing to spend most of our time with our loved ones, for example, with our mom, dad, friends, colleagues, or whomsoever we love. So the fact says that an average person spends more than 2 hours a day in just replying the emails that he or she receives. And apart from that, on top of it, people need to work. So let's consider a human being works around 8 hours to 10 hours a day, and then he travels back to home. But when the people travel back to their home, they again use their smartphone. But that's the main cause of stress. So from my perspective, the people that use more smartphones, or the people those who are more engaged with the electronic gadgets, or more stressed. So and American Psychological Association says that the main contribution of stress is from the work.
Kevin, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Well, you are part of a technology company in a way, or in more ways than one. So are we, because we are part of a technology company with operations in many other countries. And well, I was reading here on your tagline, you encourage us to practice shaking hands with the people and not the mouse all day. Now, this is a great idea. Of course, the concept itself is great. However, I see a challenge, and I would like to ask you how you deal with it, how you solve it. A lot of correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of this of the engineers out there, or people who spend a lot of time working on computers or on technical items, they tend to be very how can I say this? I don't know, maybe
Very
they tend
introverted.
yeah, sort of introverts. They keep to themselves, or tend to keep to themselves. I'm not generalizing. I'm just saying that it's a trait that I've seen. So my question is, how do you think that we could lessen this trait in order to make us more, I don't know, friendly, more talkative, more handshaking type of personality in across the board in all the companies that are technology based out there? What would you suggest?
Okay. So in short, to limit the stress, I would suggest the following. One could indulge themselves in some physical activities. For example, I play cricket and I do karate. So almost every day. So one could also go for a jogging or go for a long walk if they wish. And moreover, getting enough sleep is a good idea. And if we are overstressed, then I would strongly recommend to talk to someone whom you love. So talking with someone really, really diverts you from the situation, and you just talking means you should not talk about the incident that caused you the stress, but talking something different. For example, about a movie or something like that. And I would recommend to rest if you are sick. And I do not smoke, or I do not consume alcohol. And most importantly, I completely avoid drinking coffee. And you can try it. Maybe in a month, you would feel better for sure. It's one of the very good treatment that I would recommend if you're under stress almost every day. So as I said, you should be staying away from your mobile phones as much as possible, because the radiation from the mobile phones are too much, and that could create a lot of stress, and sometimes it could sweat your body. And then we should not compare ourselves with others. For example, in the work, a colleague of you might perform far better than you, but you might not. In such cases, you should not compare yourself with them. That could create a huge stress within you. It's just a nonsense idea to compare yourself with others. Instead, comparing yourself with you is a good idea. And most importantly, keeping a stress diary. For example, I have one, but maybe it's in my office. So keeping a stress diary is a good idea. So stress diary means you just write down all the incidents that caused you the stress, and you just rate those incidents from a scale of 1 to 10, for example, 10 being the worst case. And maybe in a month, if you recollect the points that created you the stress, you would get an idea. So next time when the same situation occurs, you might consider having a pre-solution for that. So these are the points that I would strongly recommend to limit the stress.
Okay, but let's see if I got this right. And I totally understand what you said. But what I understood was all these things that you mentioned have to do with you as an individual. So these are rather individualistic measures, which are okay, of course. But what I was referring to is you're like I said in the tagline, in the topic of the conversation, you encourage us to shake hands and to become more friendly, to relate to others. And so how do you do that effectively? For example, you mentioned that you personally decide not to drink coffee, for example, or beer or whatever. It doesn't really matter. But the point is, at the company, 300 people, 400 people, there might be others that actually have those choices. So how do you foster good communication, a friendly environment, a stress-free environment with them? How do you shake hands with them easily, in a way that is going to be respectful for everybody, for you, for them? How do you foster these situations?
Okay, got your question. So that's I do that with the help of Rubik's Cube. Rubik's Cube is a good conversation starter. So if I'm completely stressed out, I take the cube and I just go to my canteen and I try to solve it. And I solve the cube, people around me would be like staring at me. Then I just laugh at them. Then we just start a conversation, and then I build my community and the society. So it's more or less like engaging yourself with the society. The more contacts you develop, the more stronger you are. That's at least my perception. So, for example, if you would have seen my LinkedIn profile, I've helped a lot of candidates instead of just like so people could say a lot in their social media, but really helping someone is a different chapter. So that's the reason I mentioned the tagline as practice shaking hands with the people and not the mouse all day. So yeah, of course, we are everyone here working, yeah, and we are working almost 8 hours and between 8 hours and 10 hours a day, but still we need to spend time with people and not with electronic gadgets. So for your question, the answer is the Rubik's Cube. With this thing or with this device, let's say, I just engage with people, and I try to gain as much as connection I could.
So Kevin, I love this idea. What I'm hearing is that in a world where we're constantly, in front of gadgets, right? We've lost the art of engaging with one another in a real, face-to-face kind of way. The handshaking is really just symbolic for actually stopping and having a conversation. And we've also lost the art of starting those conversations in many regards because we're spending 18 hours in front of gadgets. So it's easy for us to start a conversation on WhatsApp, but it's not as easy to do it in person. So the Rubik's Cube is like an icebreaker. Okay? It's a fun little tool used to break the ice, to get people talking. Hey, what are you doing? What is that? That's interesting. It could very well be a hack attack, anything that will break the ice with an individual. Is what you're saying?
Exactly. You're right. You're completely right. That's true. It's an icebreaker.
I love it.
I
love it. So here's an idea. I think when everybody gets onboarded into a new company, everybody should get a Rubik's Cube. And it should say conversation starter. Whenever you're just finding yourself in front of the computer all day, just walk somewhere and start playing with the Rubik's Cube and start conversation. What do you guys think? Would that work in our environment?
You mean
Marielle,
on yourself?
What do you think?
Yeah, we do. Actually, well, you cannot see
we
it.
do stuff like that. But
There's this guy sitting like next to me, kind of in the back, and he has a bunch of Rubik cubes, like 4 of them. I actually have this myself, and it really is a conversation starter. Like sometimes people get like overwhelmed by the work they're doing, and they go to someone else's place and they see stuff like this, and they can engage, like even like starting like, what is this? How to use this? And it's a really good thing, to get away from the stress you're currently having and engaging with other people.
Well, Chandra, I'm curious. How did you stumble about this? How did you come up with this idea? Which, by the way, you should totally develop like a TED talk on this, like how to use a Rubik's Cube or whatever to break the ice in conversation. I think it could be pretty big, especially in nowadays. But how did this come be for you? Like, what was that moment you were like, I'm going to use this thing? Did it happen by accident? Walk us through what that was like, please.
Okay, I'm a math lover. I love mathematics a lot. So, and I got inspired from my friends. My friends used to solve at my university, and I too wanted to solve it, but with my own derived formulas. So I started to solve it for 1 year, but still I couldn't. I could solve it, but not with my formulas. Then I invented some formulas for this. Then in a couple of years, I derived some 5 to 6 formulas for the shortcuts, let's say. And now I'm really loving it. And I solved the cube within a couple of minutes, approximately.
So wait, the first time you were trying to solve the Rubik's Cube, it took you over a year? Did I hear that right?
You're right.
Or you were working on some mathematical formula that took a year?
No. Yeah. So I could solve the Rubik's Cube, let's say, within 30 minutes, but it took me a year to solve the cube with my formula.
Oh, so, interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have a formula.
Formulas, yeah.
So you developed a methodology for solving the Rubik's Cube.
Exactly, wow. Yeah. I do have my own formulas for this.
That's a real hobby. Like, you do love it.
That's taking it to a whole nother level. Okay, but when did it start that you used it to start a conversation? Like, when did that become the icebreaker that you're talking about today?
You mean at what age or?
Yeah, at work. Like, when did it actually become this thing that became your way of starting conversation with people?
Okay. Actually, at my university, when I was just going for my class, I think it's a physics class. Then in my corridor, I was solving this cube when I was walking, and people around. So I was alone for 2 minutes, and after that, there were like 15 to 20 guys behind me, just watching this. And when I was about to enter my class, then I noticed some students behind me, and they wanted me to have some discussion. Then I was like, yeah. Then I thought, okay, this is really nice breaker where and also a conversation starter. So then I tried using this in the bus and the trains, and it worked out actually.
Wow, you got a whole new trend starter. You want to get a date? Go to the bar with a Rubik's Cube. That'll start a conversation.
Exactly.
I love it. I mean,
surely will.
What a creative idea.
Yeah, if you go to a bar, then just take the cube.
Kevin, I got a question. Here, I am very intrigued about how you think that this could be dealt with. We're talking about companies with international operations, right? So we're talking about yours, ours, BMW, Nearsoft, Indicom, and others. So we're talking about a lot of people in many countries. And what you're proposing here is something very simple. It's a very playful approach, right? It's a very, how can I say this? It's a playful, I guess it's playful approach. Rubik's Cube, it's nothing too sophisticated. However, given the international nature of these companies, how would you say that, let me reword my thoughts. How do you think that companies that have international operations could adopt this playful mindset, given the very different cultures that between one country and another? For example, we might have a culture in a company that has offices in Japan, right? And then with offices in Latin America, for example, right? So we have two different countries, two different cultures. America, we're ready to joke around a lot, but it might not be so in Japan. So how can we balance things out in a way that works for everyone?
Got it. So different people have different perspectives. Yeah, you're right. So at the end of the day, if you are stressed, you need to be distracted. I mean, which distraction means not using your mobile phones. Distraction means a complete distraction from the electronic gadgets. It's not like you just take the cube and solve it. It's not just about the cube. You can also play table kicker, for example, or you can go to a soccer field and watch some guys playing in there. So the benefits of solving a Rubik's Cube is the following. It helps improving your memory. Yeah, it helps, it keeps your memory stronger. And learning the ways of solving the cube improves patience. Yeah, it helps become a problem solver. For example, it keeps your mind active.
It's such a universal thing, the Rubik's Cube, though, Carlos. I think also to your point, Kevin, when part of the reason people get stressed is they're worried about either what's happened in the past and what's going to happen or potentially happen in the future. So you're not completely present the moment. And actually doing a sort of a thing that requires some logic and some thinking, you have to be present to the moment. And that distracts you from everything else going on. So just instantly becoming present reduces your stress level right there. So I totally get that. I think the question that Carlos had is some cultures are a little bit more playful at work than others. You know, some cultures are a little more serious at the office. So have you noticed any difference, or is that just, or is the Rubik's Cube the sort of magical thing that just works no matter what your culture is like?
Okay, to be frank, this is for the math lovers, I would say. So if you do not like to solve puzzles, then it's not your cup of tea. So then you should find a different solution for you. So as I said, different people have different tastes. Different people have different perspectives. So it's up to the individual to decide which one to choose to make themselves having some distraction. So at the end of the day, you need to stay away from the electronic gadgets and do something like this. It must not be a Rubik's Cube. It may be a Rubik's Cube. That's my point.
So you've got to find whatever can become ceremonial in your culture. I recently learned, actually on Monday, someone gave up coffee and was sharing with me how he started drinking matcha, and it's like a ceremonial process to make matcha tea in Japan. So he shared this whole process, this little thing that he did, and so I guess what I'm hearing is, whether it's a Rubik's Cube or something else, find something that has some ceremonial process that people in that culture can relate to, that breaks away from the hustle and bustle and gets you present and talking and having a conversation about that ritual. Whether the ritual is finding the solution to a Rubik's Cube, making tea, playing hack and sack, or just whatever that is that resonates locally. find that and implement that. Is that what I'm hearing?
You're right. You're absolutely right. Let me give an example. So, okay, the stress doesn't come from the work alone. It also you might also have stress in your personal life. For example, let's imagine that you have a girlfriend. So, on one fine day, you call your girlfriend and say, "Hey, baby, how are you? Is everything fine from you?" And she would be like, no, I'm not good now. Maybe we should speak a bit later. I have severe headache and so on. Then you would be like, okay, that's completely fine. Take care of your health. Then you go to the Instagram. In just 2 or 3 minutes, she posts her selfie in the Instagram or in some social media with the tagline saying, "Hey guys, I'm so relaxed today, and the day was very, very enjoying." And you would be like, really? So it's like so people may avoid you in some cases. So for example, also at your work, so people may avoid you. People may talk something bad about you, maybe. So in such cases, your mind would be completely distracted, and you might take very, very wrong decisions in such cases. So in those cases, patience is the key. We just need to be patient. And so in my case, I would just take the cube and go out, and I would just sometimes I break the cube as well if I am like if I'm more stressed. And it depends on the individual. So you just need to find out which is the right device for you, and you just need to take it, and you need to practice, and you need to you move on. Yeah.
Kevin, I think we're coming up on time, but I think what I'm hearing very clear is find whatever ritual works for you as an individual to get yourself out of your head when your head is spinning, right? And in the process of taking care of yourself, you might discover that you could engage in conversation because people will take an interest in whatever ritual you're doing, and that creates another way of reducing stress by actually engaging in conversation face to face with other people. Those are great points. I think that it can easily be implemented. I mean, someone can implement that like literally right now. If they're stressed, they can just go and like, you know what, I'm going to take this little scrunchy ball and I'm going to go for a walk. And boom, you've got your ritual that allows you to get your stress under control at work. Anything else, guys? Otherwise, we're up on time. And I think I found this very interesting and enlightening. I'm going to practice what you've mentioned. I'm going to find my own little ritual. I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm going to find it and see what I can do with that. Marielle, Carlos, anything else?
I just want to emphasize on one thing that Kevin said that I think is very interesting and it's really, really true, that most of the people, including myself, we have a hard time disconnecting. Like, you get off work, but you're always like on the phone, maybe checking just one email or just one message. I think that's something that we really need to practice, and yeah, very important.
Yeah, and it's tricky, but not impossible, Marielle. I can tell you that.
So
definitely.
Don't put your mobile phone next to you in bed. Put a Rubik's Cube there. If you wake up in the middle of the night, don't go check your email. Play the Rubik's Cube. It's amazing. Like 80, I think something like 30% of people actually check their emails in the middle of the night. Guilty as charged. I have done that too.
Not anymore.
Anything else, guys? Otherwise, what's coming up next Wednesday, Carlos?
Let's see. I don't know. Well, let me ask my mini me here. What do we have for today? For next week? I don't know. Let me check. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, what this guy said was that next week we're going to be speaking with Alex Eisman, guys. This is your boy, Tulio. Alex Eisman, the CEO and co-founder of Genium, which is a premium software engineering firm, an agile consulting firm. And the topic is going to be, I mean, you can't. This is a can't miss type of interview because we're going to be speaking about AI and software, exploring the limits. In other words, as Alex has put it, can AI and software help to cure extremely challenging health problems like cancer. Take that, folks. So that's going to be happening next week right here on Dojo Live, 1 p.m. Pacific. Stay tuned next week.
Great.
Bye.
Love for it to solve this current coronavirus issue. And join us on Monday for the Dojo Live recap show. And if you want to participate, just make a comment, let us know. We'd love to have you participate with us. And I don't think we today, guys, so we're going to try to figure out a way to put this up so that whoever missed it at 1 p.m. will get it at 2 p.m. So we had a little technical glitch. But thanks for joining us, Kevin. It's been a pleasure talking with you. And until next time, thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Kevin.
It's a pleasure talking with you. Yeah. Thank you very much.
See you next time, Kevin. We'll be in touch.
See you next time. Yeah, sure. Yeah.